Hello indie game fans, I love Metroidvanias here on the channel, but there really are a lot of upcoming titles, where of course some do look better than others, so here are my top 10 upcoming indie games to get hyped about. Special mention does go to the upcoming GRIME, which we will get to play really soon, where they did release a sleek cinematic trailer that's worth watching in full. Let's begin with Aeterna Noctis, a title that has had a very interesting time in development since it has gone through a complete visual overhaul since its initial reveal and Kickstarter campaign. Play as the King of Darkness, cursed to forever be in conflict with the Queen of Light, where we begin at the start of one such cycle, having to regain your powers to prepare for the showdown once again. From this trailer, you can see the variety in environments, where I'm partial to the lava sections myself with gorgeous use of lighting. There are also some spike-heavy platforming sections that doesn't allow you to touch the ground, adding a change of pace from the combat-heavy portion. It has quite a classic high fantasy setting where the 2D hand-drawn art is a draw, most impressively shown through the enemy and boss designs. This is releasing in December, which is something that I would recommend against since it does get lost in the Game of the Year and holiday season, so let's see if this developer heeds my advice and is one to keep an eye on.
Port City's as good as lost. Must you go back?
I must go back in order to end all this.
I was pretty impressed with the 3D look of F.I.S.T. forged in Shadow Torch ever since I came to know of it, starring a hare wearing a mechanical fist which has 3 forms in the fist, drill and whip, all to be used in platforming and combat. This is part of PlayStation's China Hero project, which aims to bring games from Chinese developers to a wider audience, where based on the quality of this alone, I think it's the right move. Fight on behalf of the resistance against your oppressors in the Machine Legion, where a hero is on a quest to save his friend, and the sleek action alone makes this of interest. Me being me, of course there will be many pixel art titles on the list, the first of which is the long in development Plague Huntress, one that does look like Symphony of the Night, where I do hope that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Of note is the skill tree as well, which seems pretty extensive, adding the Castlevania style RPG element that makes it really appealing. This game resurfaced in February this year with this new trailer, although the developer does note on Twitter that this is still a ways off, but if you have any nostalgia for the older generation of consoles, this is one to watch. A title that did improve visually over the course of its Kickstarter campaign is 9 Years of Shadows, one where you play as a young woman tasked with ending a curse and to restore colour to the world. I love the vibrancy of the pixel art, where there are a variety of elemental armours that you can wear to harness fire, earth and water, even having a little teddy bear ghost puppet companion that does help you in combat, looking excellent, so I cannot wait. I last mentioned Frontier Hunter, Erza's Wheel of Fortune in my video on the Steam Next Festival in June, being a very anime title and coming to us from the developer of the roguelite platformer Tower Hunter Erza's Trial, starring the same main character but in a different type of game. Most interestingly, this has the 2.5D look akin to Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which does have its pros and cons, but the variety of enemies, bosses and environments looks pretty neat. While it is more or less a fantasy entry with dragons, scorpions and such, somehow there are guns, bazookas and battle cruisers in this, looking to be an interesting mix of ideas. Also, there are 3 playable characters that you can switch between, even having the ability to call upon the other 2 in combo attacks, making it quite the interesting prospect to watch. It will be no surprise that Gestalt, Steam and Cinder gets a spot on the list, since I love the pixel art, coming to us from pixel artist Thomas Fetchmere, whose work in games includes Tower 57 and even the upcoming Songs of Conquest. This is a steampunk title where you delve into the mysterious Clockwork City, uncovering the schemes of his corrupt overseers and blowing up a bunch of robots in the way. Our heroine has both a sword and a gun, both of which are used in slick combos, but the combat does look fun indeed. It does also have an RPG system with stats as you level up, being more on the Castlevania end of things, but for how great this looks, especially the lava areas, this is a no-brainer pick. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but since we last talked about The Last Faith, it did get officially delayed from 2021 to TBA, so we just have to wait and see when we can get to play. It's a dark gothic entry which looks awesome, looking to have more than little in common with Bloodborne due to the setting, aesthetics and even enemy designs. It does also remind me of one of my favourite pixel art games in the gruesome Blasphemous, although this does have more of that classic European-inspired gothic setting. Still, it was my most anticipated game of the year, which unfortunately got pushed, but good things come to those who wait, so I'm wishing the developers all the best. Ever since bursting on the scene, Crowsworn has made quite an impact, gathering a huge audience rather quickly, since everyone seems to be thinking that it might be the second coming of Hollow Knight. In fact, its Kickstarter campaign is still ongoing as of recording, raising over 5 times its goal with plenty of time to go, so the gaming public has voted and I'm wishing this developer all the best. I realize that I have not talked about the story and plot, but it involves a curse that befell the land, where an army of sightless, nightmarish creatures now roam the world, so it is up to our protagonist to lift the curse, uncover the truth, and to realize your salvation. Love the variety in action, so of course it gets way up there, although 2023 does seem like quite a ways off. Surprise! This one may be new to some of you, but I've been looking forward to Hard Forth Elysia for a very long time, so when it showed signs of life, actually getting a Steam page a little while back, it did reignite some hope in me that it will actually make it to launch someday. Play as the warrior wizard Elysia, who is adept with both weapons and magic, blending these effectively in order to dispatch of her enemies. You are caught in the middle of a war between 2 rival armies, desperately seeking a way to get back to your loved ones by battling through these wondrous landscapes. Some influences include Symphony of the Night, Zelda, Xenogears and Final Fantasy Tactics, where the developer is trying to blend the side-scrolling action with the epic narrative of 90s RPGs, which, if done right, could be something to behold indeed. This is an extensive gameplay trailer of the desert area, where the trailer does show our heroine leveling up, getting pluses to stats like intelligence and defense, so it does have those RPG systems. I don't know what happened to this project, if it was too ambitious, overscoped, too much work for the developer, whether some real-life issues affected the developer, or whatever the reason may be, but it was kickstarted in May 2014, so yes, that's 7 years and counting, but it's good to see that it did not totally become vaporware, and hopefully we will get to play this someday. And of course, the most obvious pick is Hollow Knight Silksong, the sequel to perhaps the most beloved indie Metroidvania of all time. I did go back and check when this was actually announced in February 2019, so it has been more than 2 years and counting, although please do not harass the developers on the release date, where I myself have put it in the bucket of when it's done. Playing as Hornet, a character from the first game that's much more agile than the Knight, fight your way and ascend through a kingdom of silk and song, which is a marked contrast to the underground kingdom of Hello Nest. Event after event has passed, and the Hollow Knight fans have just been like this through all of them, but once again, patience, young grasshopper. Do spare a thought for the developers who have the immense weight of expectations on them which must not feel great, but I'm excited nonetheless, taking the number 1 spot. For my recommendations of the best Metroidvanias that you can play right now, watch this video and I will see you after the jump.